All right. Welcome everyone to session 2 of our Career Academy today. My name is Sharon O'Kane and I am the Assistant Director here at Career and Professional Development. And today we will be discussing what is your mission, finding your career purpose. This is a broad topic and we want to cover as much as we can. So take notes, do what you can to take all the information in, but there's going to be opportunities for you to ask questions, kind of get into it. We're here and we're ready and prepared for you for this session. So I'll be leading our presentation today, but I just want to acknowledge Samantha Karpoloff, who's not here today, but she was part of the creation of this presentation and contributed a lot of great points. And I also want to thank Lynn Lease, our Director of Career Education, because she will be co-leading with me today. And finally, we also want to introduce Alex Souza. He is one of our student employees here at CPD, and he'll be giving us a little demonstration of one of our career tools later on. So you will hear more from him later. Awesome. So once again, welcome to session 2. Career Academy is a series of 4 workshops designed to help you keep your career on track. And we're encouraging you to join all of these workshops because they're really great for you in your career education. If you complete the series, you will earn a digital badge and be entered into a raffle to win a brand new iPad. So we're really encouraging everyone to complete the series, watch it later on at your time. But to count your attendance, you do get to submit a quiz at the end of this session. So that's something to note if you are here. All right, so this is our agenda for today. A couple of things that I just want us to delve into is just an introduction to purpose-driven work. What does purpose-driven work mean? Identifying your mission. We're going to be doing that Focus 2 walkthrough with Alex, and then talking a little bit about what career fulfills your mission. So the first question I wanted to ask, and it's something that you can think about, is what is purpose-driven work? Is this something that you've heard about in the past, something that you're thinking about? What is it that, how would you define purpose-driven work, and what does it mean to you? We have a lot of career experts out there that say the trends are showing a lot of current and recent graduates are looking for work that provides meaning and allows them to make an impact. We also hear certain phrases like aligning to a certain purpose, championing social responsibility. Many say as well that purpose-driven work is honoring their values. They want work that honors their values, do things that will have the impact they want to affect on the world. And so these are certain things that we would use to kind of explain what purpose-driven work is. And many people right now, especially the Gen Z generation, are looking for purpose-driven work. And so figuring out your mission and your career purpose, like I said, it's a broad topic, and it does take time for you to do that. It varies for everyone. Some may know what their purpose is right now. Some are still discovering what their purpose is, what their mission is in their career. And a lot of people don't know, right? It doesn't always happen overnight, and that's okay for you not to know what your purpose or your mission is. It's something that you can learn over time. Lynn?
Yeah, thank you. It's also, valuable to think about the fact that your career may very well change over your lifetime, right? Some people may transition into multiple different careers throughout their life. And even if you follow one trajectory, one field, it's going to evolve over time. You're going to have different roles. You might work in different organizations or companies. And those are motivated by lots of things that we're going to talk about. There's, internal reasons it might change, external reasons it might change, but it's very valuable for you to think about what your mission is as kind of a guidepost for that. If you need to make a change for whatever reason, if you need to find a totally different career, a different job, a different organization to work for, understanding that kind of core of you and what you want to do and what impact you want to have will help you as kind of guide you through those changes, right? So that's one of the things that we want to help you with today. We also want to acknowledge that not everybody goes to find work because they're driven by a mission, right? A lot of people, or some people, don't necessarily even associate work with their purpose. Some prefer to just think of work as the thing they do to make an income, to survive, or we hope thrive. And they might find their mission fulfilled through other things. So we do want to acknowledge that. We certainly don't judge that. We don't want you to feel like you have to have a mission to come into the office with, right? If you're looking for career support. But this presentation today is about how to identify that mission, if that's what is motivating you, and then how to try to make sure that your work aligns with it.
Awesome. Thank you, Lynn. And, as we said, if you've identified a mission or you want to identify one, we're here to help you. That's what we as a team are here for. We know how important it is for you to find out what work you can get that gives you a mission, that fulfills your mission or fulfills your purpose. And so that's why we're here. So just to have an open mind and just, think of all the resources and the research that you can do to get yourself there. All right. So identifying your mission or your purpose, being able to identify it is the first step to getting closer to purpose-driven work. But where do you start? If you're in the process of figuring out your mission or your purpose, a good place to start is by looking at yourself. Who are you as a person? This is a question that everybody's always asking themselves, and they don't always have the answers, but we want to give you some tools that you can kind of look at different areas of your life. Some of them are external motivators, and some of them are external motivators that might define you as a person, and then help you to define your purpose. All right, so these questions offer a variety of answers, but identifying more about yourself can help you understand your purpose better. So breaking it down, you want to look at those external and internal factors, which we'll explore as we go along. Most career tools that we advise that you use give you a breakdown of yourself through your personality, your values, your leisure, things that you're interested in doing, your work interests, and your skills as well. And by looking at these, it can help you to define your purpose better. For example, if you know that you are someone who values helping others as a person, then you might want to work in an industry or in a job that allows you to help people. It might be, there's a variety of ways that you can do that, but it's good to at least be able to identify that value in you and that particular part of you that wants to help other people. We have career tools that then help you to align with certain industries, with majors, with jobs, to help you get that purpose-driven career. And over time, you might hear us talking about different tools that we suggest that you use. Some of the things that you might have heard us talk about is things like ONET. You may have heard of like the Myers-Briggs test. We've got the Holland Code. There's a lot of tools out there that many people have used in the past and that we recommend that you take. And Focus 2 is one of them that we want to emphasize as well. We'll talk about that later. But one thing to remember as well is that your personality, your values, all these different things about you, they can change over time. You go through different life stages, and because you go through these different life stages, your personality and your values and your skills, they continue to build, they continue to grow. And so it may not always look the same. So one thing to remember is that if you, for example, take a career assessment at the beginning of your time here at Mercy, it might look different in a year's time because you're changing and evolving as a person as well. So that's important to note, that those internal motivators that you have continue to change, and that's okay. And I just quickly also wanted to emphasize that there are external motivators that will also affect you as a person that don't necessarily play a part in your personality or your values or things like that. We look at things like your family, your financial status, your experiences. These are all things that aren't necessarily in your control, but they play a huge part in who you are. And so, for example, your financial status, maybe you are that person who wants to help others and you want to go into a certain field. But right now, due to your financial status, you can't go into that field because perhaps they don't pay as much, right? Maybe you need a higher income in order to help yourself with where you are currently in your family and in your home. And so those are also things that might affect your purpose and your mission, but it's important to think of these things as you go along. All right. So once you get to understand yourself better and you identify your purpose, you want to be somewhere that this can be achieved, right? You want to be in a job or an industry that helps. So maybe what job or what organization can help you to feel more fulfilled. This is where, like we said, the career tools come in. And so as mentioned, Focus 2 is an assessment that we recommend that everybody uses, a career exploration tool that we use within our career center. It helps students to look at those 5 areas that we talked about: personality, your work interests, values, skills, leisure. And this matches you with different industries, jobs, and majors that fit the results that you get. And so we've asked, like I said, Alex to come here and to give us a little breakdown of Focus 2 and also offer some insight on what he learned about himself when he took the Focus 2 assessments. So I'll give it away to Alex so that he can break it down for us.
Thank you. So my name is Alex. Obviously, I'm a student employee here in CPD. A little bit about me: I'm a sophomore and I'm currently a psychology major with a minor in business administration. Today, I'm basically going to give you guys a student perspective of Focus 2. I'm going to walk you through a little bit of self-assessments because I think that's the main focus of today, and that's where I took a lot of value from it. The analogy I would use for Focus 2 as a platform and self-assessments would be, I would compare it to personality tests. I'm sure everyone here at some point has taken a personality test, but in this regard, they're basically questions that ask you questions in regard to what jobs might suit you. So by the end of this presentation, because I like to give a little bit of a mission statement, you guys should all learn why Focus 2 is a great platform for career planning decisions. So I'll share my screen now and I'll get into the program itself. So I'll start off by showing you guys how to access Focus 2 in the first place. So what you guys would do is you would go to career.mercy.edu. That is our official career webpage. Alternatively, if you don't want to Google it, you could also, if you don't want to just search up the link, you could also probably Google something like Mercy Career Center, and that would be the first link right there. So from here, what you would do is you would hover over Next Steps at the top of the page. You would then hover over Explore Majors and Careers, click that, scroll down a little bit, and Focus 2 will be one of your top results. You can either click the image here, or you could also click these 2 links. It'll take you to the same page. So now what I'll do is I'll walk you guys through the different sections of Focus 2. Like I said before, our focus for today is going to be self-assessment, so I'm going to just breeze through that initially, but I will give a little bit of a breakdown of the different sections that are on the main webpage. So let's start with Career Planning Foundations. These are pretty similar to self-assessment. They're questionnaires that kind of ask you pretty, self-explanatory foundational questions. I would say this would be good for someone who's like a freshman and still trying to understand where they fit in terms of major and things of that nature. Like I said before, self-assessment is what we'll cover, so we'll get back to this. Next up, we got Explore the Possibilities. There's a lot of different tools here that you can use, but for the sake of time, I'll just highlight one of them. Right here, you'll see Explore Any Occupation. If you click that, it'll basically give you a ton of different careers that you can look into in detail. And for example, let's say I want to potentially be an academic advisor. I could click that. And this page will give you a breakdown of just a lot of information about the job, an overview, what the job gets into, the scores of people who are in that job and how that compares to your scores after you would have taken the self-assessment, skills, and a lot more. So you could see that at a later date. Next, we have Take Action. This section, from what I could tell, is a place where you can write down your experiences, and it's kind of a way to career plan, so it's pretty useful. The next section is Career and Education Planning. For the sake of time, I'm just going to highlight one of the sections that I found really interesting. So I'm going to click on Review and Print My Portfolio. So basically, if you go here, you can select the different information that you've input onto the website. For example, I'm going to select everything that I've completed so far. And it'll basically build a report of all that information, my scores, what those scores mean, things of that nature. And it'll all make it into one convenient report that you can then print out, and you can maybe discuss that with your career advisor if you'd like to do that. So now this brings us to our focus of today, which is self-assessment. Give me 1 second. So I'm going to show you guys my results to give you an idea of what these self-assessments cover. Let's start with work interest assessment. I would show you guys the questions, but if I click start over, it gets rid of my results. So I'll just show you guys my results. So from here, basically what happened was I took a couple of, or should I say a series of questions that asked me questions related to my work interests. And from there, it gave me a score on these different categories. And then it tells me what these different categories mean. And from there, I can basically make a decision, well, this sounds like me, or it doesn't sound like me. For example, the first category that I ranked the most highest in was conventional. And for example, it describes that, people in this category enjoy working with numbers, using a computer, keeping accurate records and organizing. And I would say that fits me pretty well. So I think it's pretty accurate in that regard. Next, we can do personality. Values is going to be the one that we're going to focus on a little bit in more detail, but I'll just kind of breeze through my results of the other assessments really quick, just to give you an idea of what's going on. So like I said before, you answer questions and then it gives you a result. And based on those questions, it tells you what your personality is in this case. And then you would click continue, and then it gives you an exact result right here. And with personality, straight away, it actually gives you, should I say, careers that you can look into. So it breaks down, what career matches your result. For example, according to my personality, I would make a good advertising sales agent. It even describes different majors that I would need to take at Mercy to become that career, the salary that I could expect, and a lot more neat information. Next, we have skills. So according to, or should I say, I finished my questions here, and these were the 3 skills that I selected. Basically, from what I remember, I think there was like 20 different options, and you have to select 3 of them, and then it gives you a result, different careers that might fit you based on those results. And you can just keep scrolling and scrolling, and you'll see a ton of careers, so that's really useful. Next, we got leisure. Pretty much on the same theme of personality, and the first one, and work interest. It basically, I answer the questions, and there is X number of criteria. In this case, it's 6 criteria that it scores me in, and then it gives me information about that criteria and how that fits into my potential career interests. So once again, there's more results, and you get all that information. Now let's go back to values. This is the one we're going to go into in a little bit more detail. I'll show my results for this one. In this case, I think between like 20 different options, I selected that my values were helping others, income, and influence. And like I said before, it gives you different careers that the program thinks might fit you in that regard. So in terms of applying, these results to what Sharon was saying earlier about how, we're here to kind of figure out our career values. Let's give an example of, let's say I want to be a financial aid director. 4 years from now, I'm graduating, I get my major in accounting, and I'm looking to be a financial aid director. So now I'm at the point where I'm job searching. And what I could do is I could take the information that I use here from Focus 2 in terms of my results, and I could apply it to my job search. So basically, I want to be asking myself, what are my values according to Focus 2, and how does this company match these values? So for example, I might want to apply to a company with a high salary range because I value income. I want to apply to a company with a reasonable possibility of promotion because I value influence. I might want to apply to a company that I can be hands-on with people and help them develop as professionals because I value helping others. So these are all things that you can take into account, and it'll be really useful just in your career planning. So last but not least, I'll show you guys the combined assessment section, and then I'll connect it to a personal reflection that I made after completing these assessments. So basically on this screen, kind of as the name suggests, you can combine your self-assessments that you made from before. It doesn't have to be all 5. You can select a particular, amount of them. But in this case, I'll choose all 5. And then you would hit continue. And then it gives you an exhaustive list of occupations that might fit those results based on what you submitted. So in this case, these would be the careers that match up with 3 of the assessments. So in terms of my personal reflection, I would say that I found myself doing some personal reflecting after I was on this page. I actually took the self-assessments back in freshman year. And so it was interesting to see how my results changed from back then. Right now, as a sophomore, I'm actually thinking of changing my major from psychology to something in finance or accounting. Originally, I want to be I want to be a school psychologist because, I think I want to help people for one. But I also really like learning about finance, and the idea of working with money has always appealed to me. So when I look at my results, I see careers like, I'm not going to show you them, but in this section, you'll see careers like credit counselors, real estate broker, securities broker that rank really highly. Whereas in this section, you'll find that school psychologist ranks here. So those types of careers that work with money are ranking over here, yet school psychologist is ranking down here. So it had me thinking like, I guess you could say Focus 2 kind of challenged my initial beliefs. And it was interesting because back when I did this in freshman year, I took the same self-assessments, and school psychologist was actually down here back then. So even though I've developed and I've changed, I've gone through different classes and whatnot, it still was never a top result. So that is not to say that, I can't become a school psychologist, but it's to say that it provides a lot of food for thought, to say the least. So, in terms of how that relates to you guys, I would say, definitely give Focus 2 a chance, because you never know what kind of results it might give you and how that might make you feel. And, in turn, it might change your beliefs. You never know. So it's always good to be curious and keep an open mind and see what comes out of these types of things. One second. So that pretty much wraps up my presentation. I hope you guys got value out of this presentation, and I hope you guys will give Focus 2 a chance, because there's a lot of resources in here that you can access. And from here, I'll pass it along to Sharon, but thank you guys for joining, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. That was a really great breakdown, Alex. And I think that it's really important for you to be honest with yourself with these Focus 2 assessments and different career tools that you use, because you might have one idea of what you want to do, and then the results come out completely different. So we really appreciate that you're able to share that with us. All right. I'm going to just share my screen, go back to the presentation. Bear with me one second.
Sharon, while you're pulling that up, I'll just tie this a little bit to something that I know is coming from your talk, but I think it's so powerful to see kind of the reflection that you got out of that, Alex, and how important it is to sort of refine and be specific in that idea of your mission, right? Like, I think your initial statement of I want to help people resonates with students throughout this college, and certainly throughout with every staff member on the call, right? We are all career counselors because helping is a major value of ours as well. But there are so many ways to do it, right? And looking at that intersection of values where you've got helping and income. And by the way, there are careers where you can fulfill both values. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. How, like when you think about how you want to have that impact, right? There's so many different ways. So thinking more specifically about that is so, I think, so powerful to kind of help you figure out how you want to do that work. So thanks for sharing that reflection.
Thank you, Lynn. And just to, bear some things in mind as you're doing these assessments, just some things to consider. I know that there are many who have done focus 2 assessments before or other assessments, and sometimes the results that you get can be very overwhelming, right? We saw with Alex, for example, one of the sections he had was about 182 occupations that they would recommend to him, right? And that's going to be a lot of information in your face, but that's okay. What you can do is you can break down these results into your own preferences, eliminating areas that you don't have an interest in and things like that, so that you have more of an idea of what career might help you or what career might interest you, because that's another way for you to kind of break it down as opposed to being having all that information in your face. And the other thing too is that the results, as we mentioned, right, don't always mean that you have to go into a certain field, right? You might have something that comes up the top, but maybe you're interested in something else, and that's okay. The assessment itself is more of a guide for your career as opposed to the answer to your career, right? It's for information purpose only, right? And so don't take that result and, let that be the definition of what you have to do necessarily. Sometimes you really have to assess it and reflect on the answers that you get, the results that you get, just like Alex did, right? And determine from there, what is the next step? What should I do next, right? And of course, another thing too about these assessments is sometimes you do have to be honest with yourself when answering the questions, because there are times when maybe your results may skew to a certain field, because maybe that's why you might think you have to be in a certain field, and therefore you'll answer questions in a certain way, and so your results will come out a certain way too, right? I've definitely seen students. There was a student I had once who had her entire family were in teaching. They were in education. And so when she was responding to the results, when she was responding to the questions in Focus 2, most of them were geared towards education because she felt that she had to answer the questions like that. But perhaps if she was a little bit more honest with herself, or if she was able to answer the questions without thinking about those external things, or, those other, parts that define who she is, it might help her to get like better results, more accurate results, as opposed to results that are just skewed in a certain way. So that's just things to think about when you're going through these assessments. So next we want to think about what career fulfills your mission, right? That's the next question. And as we're just speaking about these things to consider, one thing that's important for you to do is, however you do your exploration work, you want to think about these 3 questions, right? First of all, you want to write down what impact you want to make in your own life, in your own career, right? How do you define your mission? What values are the most important to you? And how do you want to make that impact? And as you do this exploration work, when you write it down, it helps you to have like a grounding statement, right? It helps you to kind of figure out and go back to, what your mission is, and so that you know what you want to fulfill in your career. Some individuals, they're not specific enough when they write these things down. And so that might not help you as you're looking for, what's the next career, what's the next step that I do. And so it's important for you to, do those things, write those stuff down, so that you have a space that you can figure out what your mission is and keep it there. And so when you're doing that, and when you're looking at the career that you want to go into that works with your mission, one thing that's important is that you want to manage your expectations. Not every company or organization out there is going to be a 100% match for you, right? You probably won't find a company that's going to match you 100%, but if it aligns in some way to you, or it's enough for your comfort level, then that's a great start. that's where you want to start directing your attention to and researching and looking at those companies, right? And so in addition to a company's mission, it's also important. It's also about whether your environment lets you do the work in a way that's true to you, right? How is the work environment that I'm working in or the organization that I'm working in help me to fulfill my purpose? Is it allowing me to be true to myself as well? You can only do so much ahead of time, right? Aside from research, which we'll discuss in a minute, you also have to learn about these things on the job, right? Learning more about a company's purpose or your own purpose, all these things happen as you go along and as you're doing more, right? Realize what's in your control to live your mission within your role, even around different regulations and policies, and hopefully that will help you to find work that is fulfilling. And you can fulfill your mission outside of your career as well. There are many people out there who are working fulfilling jobs that are not specific to their life passion, but they're still doing work that they enjoy, right? They're still doing work that gives them something that feels fulfilling. For example, I did meet with a student once who, she was very interested in science. She loved all things science, and she felt like she needed to study something in science. And so she felt like, you know, this is the major that I want to get into. But when she was doing that science-based major, she wasn't feeling very fulfilled. She wasn't feeling very happy in it. And that's why she came to us and asked us, you know, what do I do next? What can I think, you know, how do I think about these things? And so in the end, after doing some career assessments and doing Focus 2, a lot of her results were coming up within psychology, social work, you know, different to the science side that she thought that she needed to be in. And she felt like that she lended herself better to that field as opposed to science. And so in the end, the student still continues with her hobbies and her interests. She still loves science, but she's now fulfilling, you know, whatever mission she wants to fulfill in science or whatever. She's doing that outside of her career while also doing the things that she needs to do in a workplace that's conducive to her and that she enjoys. And so it's just important for you to note that, you know, not everything equals your career, right? Your hobbies don't always equal your career, but it's important for you to kind of understand yourself, assess yourself, and use that as a way as you go along, understanding more about yourself and picking your career. All right, I'll hand it on to Lynn.
Yeah, amazing. So one of the things we'd like to talk to you about in any sort of exploration exercise, which is really what this is sort of the cycle of how you go about meaningful directed exploration, right? Rather than just kind of wandering around and trying to figure things out kind of on your own. So there's lots of ways you can approach this, but we like to offer you one model that's kind of directed. I'm going to start with a question. And I think the ask part of this is so important because you, I'm sure, as you're thinking about your mission and the work you're going to do, you already have a lot of questions on your mind, right? So we're going to start this cycle with a question. We're coming in curious and open-minded. To start to answer that question, we do some research. We're going to leave you with some helpful tools to get started, but the tools that you use to research are going to depend a lot on the question, right? And that's where, if you don't know how to start answering that question or doing that research, we are a very good place to start. There are lots of folks around the college that might help you with that as well. Perhaps your faculty, perhaps your PACT mentor, perhaps someone else in student affairs that you've made a relationship with. But you need to do some research, right? Through the research, you're going to learn information. So, and I'm going to use Alex as an example because I just loved how this ended up for you. You know, he had some questions on his mind. The research that he did in that case was using Focus 2, right? To start looking through some of those resources, learned a lot clearly about what might meet his criteria and his personality and his values. Off of that, you make a plan. And so that's the other kind of halfway through the cycle I'm going to really emphasize. I find a lot of people, and this happens to all of us at some point, a lot of people just kind of wander in or fall into something, right? Someone just tells them maybe you should do an internship and they wind up in an internship, or you know, they find themselves sitting with somebody and they're able to ask some questions. And those happenstance experiences are just as important to you, but it's really, really crucial that you're planning as well, right? This is how you're going to take control of planning your own career and guiding your own career. So you make a plan, and that plan can be huge or small. These don't have to be giant things, right? That could be, I'm just going to sit down with a professor of mine and ask some questions about, you know, their time in the field, whatever that might be. But you make a plan. Then you act, so you do that thing, and then we evaluate, right? And that's that reflective piece that is so important to this process. Once you've done a thing, look back on it. Did it answer your question, or do you now have more? Do you still need to go on a journey of trying to get more resources and answer this question? And if it did answer that question, what's next, right? There's probably another question, another step to take on this journey. So as you're thinking about the different tools that Sharon's about to share with you, you want to use that cycle of just asking yourself something, finding the right tools to do the research, to learn from it, to make a plan, to try something out, experiment in some way. One of the ways I love to use this is something like an internship, right? A lot of students come in with a question about, is this field right for me? Or should I be working in this kind of a facility? Well, let's do some research about maybe the types of experiences out there that you could gain to figure that out. Once you've learned that, let's make a plan to do an internship. We'll do the internship, and at the end of it, we evaluate. Did that answer my question? Did I learn enough about the field or that kind of facility to really help me know that answer? So this doesn't have to feel huge, right? This can be just sort of a cyclical thing that you do throughout your exploration, but hopefully that gives you some structure to how you might approach this.
Thank you, Lynn. And just emphasizing on the research side of things, when it comes to our wheel here, it's important to find out information to find the right fit. And a lot of the research that you do to discover companies, aligning with your mission, is similar to how you might prepare for an interview, right? So for example, you might go to a company's website, you might go to their Glassdoor page, their Handshake page to see reviews, you might check social media. These are all different things that can give you more information about a company. And whilst you're looking at it, whilst you're looking at an organization that you might be interested in, you might want to think about some specific parts of their website or who they are, right? So for example, their About Us section on their website, or who they are, their statement. Their mission statement is something that you might want to look at. Does that align with what I want to do, with my mission, my purpose? Their culture, what's their work culture like? Their diversity, equity, and inclusion commitment. These are all things that you want to see if they align with you and your mission, because then that might be a better fit for you. It might be something that you want to explore further, or a place that you might want to apply for. And we also mentioned that, you know, as we said about Handshake, for example, it's a great tool. Handshake is a great tool for you to use for job search, for your jobs, internships. We have like a little filter that you can use on Handshake when you're doing the job search, called Curated by Your School. And this means that we actually recommend particular employers for a specific reason. So perhaps they have a strong DEI commitment. Maybe they have another area that's important. So that's something that you can definitely use as you're looking through your job search, to just help you find things that match yourself. All right, and aside from that, we also have informational interviews as well that you can use. These are really, really important and very good for you to use, because if you're able to find a person who works at a company, you can find out more about them by interviewing them. Again, going back to Handshake, you can actually do this through Handshake. If you go onto the Handshake website, there are opportunities for you to speak with peers who have worked or have interned at certain organizations and companies. So you can use that to get like honest feedback and honest assessment from them on how was it while they worked there. Asking about their culture, asking about what made an individual interested in working there, employees' motivations, other people who work there, why are they motivated to work there? How do they see the impact of their work? What is the impact of their work? These are all helpful things that you can use as you're talking to people from different organizations. And then during interviews as well, you can ask more specific questions to the employers as you go along to find out more information about them, right? What do you like about this company? What impact can a person in the position that I'm applying for make here? I noticed that your company emphasizes a certain statement or has a mission statement of X, Y, and Z. Do you see this changing? Do you see it evolving over the year, over the future? Do you have any predictions for the future? Just all of these questions are just great starting blocks as you understand more about an organization or company, and it can help you to pick the right place to go.
One thing I wanted to just chime in at the end there on questions and interviews, which could be a whole other topic in of itself. But don't be afraid to ask questions, not just about the mission and the initiatives, but the actual impact and the actual specific action that employers have taken. It doesn't have to sound like you're challenging them, but when we talk about a mission, we talk about impact. That was one of the bullets, on Sharon's list earlier. And if a company is committed to their mission, they are also making an impact. So they should be able to talk about very specific initiatives or actions they've taken recently and how they've assessed those and whether they know that they're working, right? So those are also the kinds of questions that you can politely just ask about to learn more about whether there's a real commitment there.
Thank you, Lynn. And also, as we mentioned, experience is the best teacher. Experience is something that will really help you to find the best fit for you. It's great for you to do all of this research and find out information on websites and things like that and talk to people, but actually being in the position outside of like a full-time job itself will help you to kind of understand, is this the right place for me? And so some places, some things that we recommend are things like volunteering, right? You could take time for yourself whenever you can to experience the job that you're interested in without like the large commitment of actually having to have a full-time job there, right? So that gives you the ability to kind of go in and out and just explore something, volunteer, give your time to this place and learn more about them. There's internships and micro internships as well, which we talk about a lot. They're great opportunities that employers offer to teach you more about an industry or a role. They're there to teach you. They're there to help you. It's not necessarily that you're there just to be, just to give them a service or whatever it is. They're there to kind of help you understand more about the position and about the field itself. Of course, you have part-time jobs as well. So just kind of getting a small piece of something that could become full-time is just a great way for you also to kind of learn more about that position. And then we also recommend conferences too, right? You can attend different events that are related to your field. This is all part of professional development. You can use that as an opportunity to connect with others within the field, talk to people, network. Those are all different things that we suggest that you do so that you can find that career that aligns and that fulfills your mission. And so these are all just really important things to remember. And, though it might all be a lot of information, the most important thing is whatever you decide, getting the experience can help you to evaluate what's best for you and your purpose. It takes time to do this. It takes time to do research. It takes time for you to actually get there on the job to figure it out. But don't feel pressured. Don't feel pressured to get it all figured out in one go, because for a lot of us here, we didn't figure out our field of interest or our purpose until now even, right? Like just considering my own experience, I've been working in the corporate world since I graduated back in 2013. I did business finance and I thought that's the place to be. And over time, I realized that I wasn't really fulfilling my own purpose. I wasn't fulfilling, what I wanted to do in life. And it's only during, COVID that I myself changed from the corporate world to higher education. And now I feel very fulfilled in my career. Now just switching out and making those changes and looking at what I could do, assessing my own internal and external motivators to be able to make that right decision. It took time. It took 10 years, essentially, right? Almost 10 years to figure it out. And I'm not saying that you have to figure it out in all that time, but everybody's different. You're going to have a different timeline, but don't feel the pressure. And so at the end of it, when you are ready to graduate, and you feel like you might not have it together, just know that it takes time for you to find the best option for yourself. Learn as you go. You will figure it out. Take time and just use the assistance and the help that's out there for you as well to get there, and you will find something that's fulfilling for you. All right, so that's it. That's it. Thank you so much for coming today to our little session, session 2. I just want to remind you all that we do have more sessions coming up. I believe the next Career Academy session will be on March 8th. March 8th, that will be Career Fair Prep, I believe it is. So we are recommending that you attend that one and attend the last one as well. Just attend all of these academies so that you'll be able to get more information about what works for you in terms of your career and get you on track. All right. So I just thank you and appreciate you all for coming. And we would appreciate it if you were able to complete the quiz as well to earn credit for participating in our career session.
Yes, don't forget, whether you're attending these live or you're watching after the fact, that the way your attendance is recorded is through that quiz. So you don't have to get it all right. We're hoping that you took away some valuable information. So it's just to test the knowledge, but submitting it is what counts your attendance. And that is what ultimately will earn you a badge if you attend all 4 sessions, and will enter you for the iPad raffle at the end of the semester as well. So please do fill that out. And just, I would like to give a huge round of applause and thank you to Sharon for putting this incredible content together. As we mentioned in the beginning, we know research is showing us that purpose-driven work is so important to folks graduating and entering the workforce now. And we know that that's true here at Mercy. We hear that from you a lot. So we're really excited to host this session, and to Alex for the really thorough walk through the student perspective of Focus 2 and the really kind of honest and vulnerable reflection on your experience with it. So the student experience is the most important part to us. So we're glad that that's still valuable to you. So thank you for joining us so much today. And we will see you at the next one.